Welcome back to another explainer. I am so glad you're here today because we are going to unpack something truly fascinating. Today, our focus is squarely on deconstructing the exact, highly detailed recipe for a cinematic video. We're looking at a specific source text, a blueprint really, that was designed word for word to generate a 10-second FIFA World Cup 2026 match prediction trailer specifically featuring Iran and New Zealand. We're going to break down exactly how this source material engineers excitement, anticipation, and, well, pure visual spectacle. Who will win? I mean, those three words right there are the ultimate hook. They represent the absolute climax of the action this source material is asking for. Literally, before a single ball is kicked, before we even see the pitch, this one underlying question sets the stage for the intense energy of the entire prompt. Every single adjective, every camera movement, and every lighting cue we're about to explore, it's all meticulously designed to build up to this one massive flashing question. Okay, let's dive into this. The core subject we're looking at is a cinematic World Cup 2026 match prediction trailer featuring Iran versus New Zealand. Now, we are going to impartially examine exactly how the source material constructs this specific matchup. Honestly, it doesn't matter who your favorite team is. Our goal today is just to understand the pure mechanics of building hype. We're looking at how a few specific lines of text can actually mandate a specific emotional reaction using visual and auditory cues. So let's move right into our first major conceptual bucket. Part 1, cinematic atmosphere and action. You know, before this blueprint even asks for a soccer ball, it painstakingly builds the physical world of the stadium. Why? To ensure the environment itself carries weight and tension. Just look at the precise selection of adjectives here. The text specifically calls for a packed stadium, sitting beneath brilliant floodlights. It actually demands an intense atmosphere, complete with waving flags. Words like brilliant and intense, they aren't just colorful filler. They're strict instructions. They immediately establish a premium television production quality right from the very first frame. It's basically telling us, hey, this isn't amateur footage. This is prime time. And once that premium environment is built, the source material maps out the exact sequence of movement. Step 1. The teams emerge from opposite sides, which creates an immediate sense of visual opposition and scale. Step 2. Boom! We plunge directly into fast-paced football action. The text specifically demands powerful shots, dramatic tackles. It's pure adrenaline, but it's anchored by realistic player movement so those physical impacts feel heavy, grounded, and completely authentic. And finally, Step 3, crowd reactions. The blueprint ensures we see the audience completely mirroring that high-speed intensity out on the pitch. That takes us right to Part 2, post-production and graphics. Now, raw sports footage clearly isn't enough to satisfy this blueprint. We actually have a massive collision of concepts here. On one side, you've got the gritty reality mandated by the text, right? The heavy tackles, the realistic physical impacts, and this brilliantly illustrates the contrast, because layered aggressively over the top of that, you have pure, hyper-stylized digital flair. We're talking sparks, lens flares, flying particles, and speed ramp transitions. It literally makes the whole thing look less like a gritty Sunday League match and a lot more like a high-octane anime finale. To pull all this glorious chaos together, the source demands very specific textual elements and graphical standards. Like, it explicitly calls for broadcast-quality sports graphics. And on top of that, it requires giant, animated text boldly declaring Iran versus New Zealand. These imposing graphic layers are specifically meant to be paired with dynamic camera movements. It ensures your eye is constantly guided, constantly engaged, and just totally swept up in the on-screen spectacle. All of which brings us to Part 3, the technical requirements. It's one thing to ask for sparks and waving flags, right? But this blueprint actually grounds those ideas in strict technical deliverables. It specifies a visual tone that's honestly an absolute masterclass in modern media consumption. It asks for an ultra-realistic sports documentary style, but paired with HDR lighting and a viral football reel aesthetic. It brilliantly blends that gorgeous high dynamic range lighting you'd expect from a prestige streaming documentary with the punchy, hyperkinetic pacing required to actually capture attention and go viral on your phone. Just 10 seconds. Think about that constraint for a second. The source material demands exactly 10 seconds to pack in every single element we've discussed so far. The teams emerging, the dramatic tackles, the flying particles, the lens flares, the giant animated text, all of it must be compressed into an incredibly tight 10-second window. I mean, it is an absolute crash course in demanding extreme visual density. And the canvas for this 10-second explosion of action?
It's got to be 16:9. Now, highlighting the strict 16:9 aspect ratio is super important because it shows a very deliberate choice. Even though it's asking for a viral real aesthetic, the source text doesn't ask for a vertical, mobile-friendly format. Nope. By insisting on 16:9, it specifically anchors the project as a cinematic, widescreen deliverable. It basically wants the speed of the internet, but the framing of the cinema.
So all of these rigid technical constraints and wild visual effects bring us to the grand finale. The text explicitly directs the final shot of the video. It absolutely must reveal a massive, glowing scoreboard, capping off all those dynamic camera movements right as fireworks explode high above the packed stadium. It is the ultimate visual crescendo. It seamlessly combines the required sporting elements with, well, explosive cinematic pyrotechnics, which leaves us perfectly positioned, basically mirroring that glowing scoreboard, staring at the ultimate question: who will win? Every single word of the meticulous recipe we've explored today, the HDR lighting, the speed ramping, the packed stadium, it all exists solely to fulfill this one end goal. It exists to leave you hanging on the pure excitement of the imagined matchup. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? The next time you're captivated by a 10-second video on your feed, what exact recipe of words was used to command your attention? Keep questioning how the media you consume is constructed, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.